Welcome to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham. If you have a comment, email it to me, box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives and check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/Great Detectives. Today's program is brought to you in part by the financial support of our listeners. You can support the show on a one-time basis by mailing a check to Adam Graham, P.O. Box 15913, Boise, Idaho 83715. And I want to go ahead and thank Carl and Carolyn and Francis for supporting the show in that way. Thanks so much for your support. You can also become one of our ongoing Patreon supporters for as little as $2 per month. Just go to patreon.greatdetectives.net. Well, now it is time for this week's adventure of Sam Spade. And I will apologize in advance for the audio quality. I think the recording we have here is probably as good as it gets. And I know Andrew will do what he can with it, but it sounds like this is one of those recordings that has been copied multiple times, so multiple generations. But it still should be understandable. Now, at the start of the episode, it's hard to understand Sam, but that's not actually to do with the sound quality. That is an aspect of the plot which will be explained. All right, so all that out of the way, let's go ahead and listen to today's adventure with Sam Spade. The original air date, January the 4th, 1948, and the title is The 1 Hour Keeper.
Sam Spade.
Whoopsie. Oh, I put the bandage on the wrong eye. Or have I? They're both of them. Oh, I get so angry sometimes. You go dancing out of here like a schoolboy on the slightest provocation, and 1 hour later, just 1 hour, you come back with a broken head and a black eye and clothes torn all to pieces. Face like a wet geranium. Hold still. There now. Stand still, Sam. How is it? Is it too tight? What did you say?
Said, how do you expect me to dictate a report with a mouth full of gauze?
That's what it was. I wondered what happened to the girl.
Sit down and shut up.
Sam, I didn't mean anything. I just meant it for your own good.
Pick up your pencil, Effie. No, not this business.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sam. I'm sorry.
You, Patrolman Aloysius, FX Clancy, 3rd Precinct Station.
Sam, the officer Clancy?
That's right.
That nice fat policeman that walks up and down our street?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Same,
he's
Effie,
a nice
Michael
man. He
Lane.
brings me candy once in a while.
Down, Effie. From Samuel Spade, license number 137596, subject the 1 hour caper, Dear Clancy.
Yes.
In case you were aware of it, and I think you were, Clancy, this afternoon in San Francisco was warm, quiet, and dull. I was sitting in my underwear in front of the open window of my office, reading the news of the blizzard back east. I was not employed by the Chamber of Commerce to do this. My secretary had merely taken my suit downstairs to get it pressed. It began as the clock on the Church of Dismas the Thief around the corner was hammering out the hour of 4. Yeah?
Mr. Spade, this is Hank Page. Page's printer right across the street. We printed some cards for you, remember?
Oh, yes, Hank. I was about to call you. My secretary is just making out the check.
Oh, forget that bill, Sam. I need your help.
Well, drop in tomorrow. I'll be glad to talk to you.
Tomorrow may be too late. I'd rather not be seen coming to your office. How about the saloon downstairs in your building, say, 5 minutes?
Oh, if it's important, Hank.
Well, I don't know. I got something here. I want you to look at it. If it's what I think it is, it's important. I gotta hang up now. See you in 5 minutes.
Where do you think you're going in that?
Same old hat, Effie. What's the matter with it?
It's not referring to your hat, Sam.
Well, that's what you're looking at.
I'm trying to avert my eyes, Sam. Here's your suit.
Oh, I forgot. Well, look out the window, Effie. I'll just put it on. Got a phone call. Maybe a job. I got to meet a man.
Sam, you can't go out on a job now.
Why not?
Why do you think I got your suit dressed? The man's coming to take your picture.
What man?
From Baffling Detective Magazine.
Oh. Well, I'll try and make it, sweetheart.
Oh, Sam, I'm tired of making excuses to people. I set up this appointment for 5:30, and I want you back in plenty of time. I wish you wouldn't go. Oh, all right, go on. But if you aren't back in this office by 5 o'clock, that's 10, Sam. You can find someone else to make your excuse.
Okay. Shall we synchronize our watches? I skipped the elevator and walked downstairs to save time. It was 11 minutes after 4, last beer time, when I reached the entrance of the happy hour oyster and beverage bar. I turned and looked across the street. Hank Page was just stepping off the curb. He was jaywalking, but that didn't explain what happened. He saw it in plenty of time and jumped back out of the way. It saw him, too. The wheels cut sharply towards him, and the front bumper caught him just behind the knee.
All right. Keep moving there. Keep moving. Come on. Back on the sidewalk. Come on now. We'll take care of it. Sam.
Yeah, Hank.
Leave him be, Mr. Spade. Leave him be. I've got to get his thing.
Come on, get these people back. This man's hurt bad. Give him some air. Better not try to talk, Hank.
Oh, no. Sam. Here. This is it. Cigarette case. Hey, wait a minute. What was that?
What's what, Clancy?
Well, he gave you something there. A gold cigarette case. I seen him.
Oh, you must be mistaken, Clancy. Hank, can you talk anymore?
Cigarette case. Sam. Find out. Gotta find out. My wife.
Yeah, what about your wife?
I can't. What do you got here? Take it easy there. What do you got here, man? Hit and run. Looks kind of dead. Like I say, we said, wouldn't you? This is more for Clancy. DOA. Okay, boys. Okay, take him away. Now, come on, please, everybody. Stand back. Any of you people identify this man?
Yeah, I know.
You better come along then.
Oh, hello, Sam. Hello, Maxie. Hank Page.
Oh, yeah, just came in. 2 seconds. Maxie. Yeah. No, you better not look at him now. He's in no condition. Oh, sure. Sure, you can give her the money as any effect. Yeah. Well, hey, that's Mrs. Page. She didn't lose any time. Like to meet her, Sam?
Yeah, Maxie, I will.
You know, Milty says she's going to look nice in time.
That's so. Mrs. Page?
What?
I knew your husband slightly. My name is Sam Spade.
Oh, yes. No, there was a detective. He said he was going to see you. Did he?
Not quite. You happen to know what he wanted to see me about?
Yes, he found something, a cigarette case. He didn't tell me what it meant, but he seemed very worried about it. He told me that if anything happened to him, I should claim his belongings right away. Here they are. His watch, his wallet, elk's pin, school ring, cigar cutter, little cigarette case.
Oh, no, please, Mrs. Page. I've got the cigarette case here.
You've got it. How did you?
Oh, he gave it to me just after the accident. I think he was trying to tell me to give it to you. Here, you take it.
Oh, no. His initials. No. Some woman gave it to him. I don't want it. Just put it away. Out of my sight forever.
Okay. You open your eyes now. It's back in my pocket.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, let's talk, Mrs. Spade. What was on your husband's mind?
Well, I don't know. He wasn't very well. Heart trouble, nothing terribly serious, but he'd get these little spells, and he had to stay home from work. Sometimes a week or 10 days, but Mr. Soule, the foreman at the print shop, would look after things, you know. I thought he was getting better.
Your husband have any fights lately?
Oh, no. He wouldn't dare with his heart.
He had a black eye.
Oh, that happened at home. He fell down.
Yeah. Well, I'll be in touch with you. Outside, the fog was rolling in. I stopped under a street light and spent an estimated 45 seconds trying to figure out what time it was for the calendar watch my secretary gave me for Christmas. The barometer was falling, it said. The temperature was 63, and I was facing northwest. I looked in a jewelry store to find out it was 4:23. My hour was nearly half gone, and the only clues I had were a cigarette case and a black eye. I took the case out of my pocket and opened it. There were cigarettes in it. I took one out and lit it. It was nasty. Then I saw something green behind the cigarette. It looked better. It looked like money. When I examined it more closely, I wasn't so sure. The printing on it was Dutch, and the amount was 100 florins. The banks were closed, but it only cost me 2 nickels and a pay telephone to find out where to take it. It was a small but solid-looking establishment on Montgomery. The gold lettering on the plate glass window said Van Pelt and Meisner, commercial agent, Amsterdam, New York, San Francisco, Macassar, and Curacao.
Gentlemen here?
I want to see Mr. Meisner.
There is no Mr. Meisner. There's only Van Pelt, and I'm Hendrik Van Pelt. I'm so sorry.
Oh, don't say it like that. Maybe you can help me.
What can I do with you?
Well, somebody paid me off for a job in Dutch money. I want to know how much it's worth.
Oh, this better than Meisner, I know. The value of money. Show me, please.
Maybe you'd like a cigarette, too. They're Dutch.
See, my brand, Sumatra Queen, thanks. Oh, good.
You like
good, Sumatra Queen. No, the money. 100 florins. I under the light look, eh? Serial number. Here is M. Quadrate clear is. Seal good color is. Paper. Paper excellent. Gewiss exchange.
What's it worth?
Well, look. The latest quotation is florin against the dollar. $53.24. That was the exchange fee taken out. You like $10 notes?
I love them. You mean that money's real money?
Who knows better than I should? My brother was engraver to the Royal Dutch Treasury. I myself in the manufactory worked until the occupation coming was.
Pardon me. Would you mind saying that again, please?
In the manufactory from all kinds of money, including already currencies from the Indies, East and West, Java, Celebes, Borneo, and homeland, Netherlands. Also, 6 months in Bulilong, Bali, where I'm English learning.
Oh, you learned English?
Several foreign languages.
I see. Well, I'll take it in 10.
Go, see. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 1, 2, 3, is that 9 cents and 20 cents, 3 cents.
Thank you.
Eventually.
I spoke a little Dutch.
Yes, eventually you have lived in San Francisco for how long?
Oh, eventually quite some time.
Oh, I'm Hendrik Van Pelt. How are you?
How do you do?
Yes, I noticed on the cigarette case, you have the same initial, HP. Who your name is, please?
Polhouse, Herman Polhouse.
Oh, in a Polhouse, you know, I like that cigarette case. With the coincidence, you sell me your Dutch money. Maybe also sell me the cigarette case with the Dutch cigarette.
You like those cigarettes?
Oh, I love that Sumatra Queen.
You can have them for nothing.
No, such a pity to remove them from the beautiful case. They go together, cigarettes and the case. How much?
What would you say it's worth?
Well, that's good gold. $500? What do you pay?
Nothing. I took it off a dead body.
Get out! Get out! The grave roller! Help! Police! Stop thieves!
Okay, Mr. Van Pelt, I'm going.
Help! Police! Help!
I ran, did not walk to the only exit. A squad of bank cops thundered past me, followed by half a dozen city dicks and some Burnsmen who confused Van Pelt's burglar alarm with that of the bank next door. Nobody paid me any mind until I reached Third Street. I was just crossing when I saw it the second time. It was the same car that had run down Hank Page. I strained my eyes against the headlights. I couldn't make out the man behind the wheel, but I got the license plate before it happened. I felt it before I heard it. It hit my chest like a sledgehammer. The last thing I heard was the footsteps of a heavy man pounding toward me. The clock on the Church of Business of the Thief was chiming the half hour. And now, back to the 1 hour caper. Tonight's adventure with Sam Spade. I'd started the caper with two clues, a cigarette case and a black eye on a dead man. When I woke up in the alley, I didn't have the cigarette case. Instead, I had two black eyes. One of them was on me. Strangely enough, I was alive. I reached inside my shirt to examine the bullet hole over my heart. There was nothing there but a bruise. I wondered what had been in that gold cigarette case besides gold and Dutch cigarettes. The slug had come at me hard enough to knock me down and out, but the case in my inside pocket had stopped it. I limped to the nearest phone booth and phoned Tuttle in the traffic division. The plates on the hit-and-run car were registered to one Hendricks Van Pelt.
I'm so glad you're here. I was beginning to worry.
Where's Mr. Van Pelt?
That's just it. He's running the other room to make a drink. Let him come back. Listen. You don't know how glad I am you're here. Do you know why he invited me to have this drink with him?
I can think of one reason.
Oh, thank you. Listen, he wants to buy Hank's cigarette case. And, of course, much as I hate an Indian booger, Mr. Spade.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Hank didn't leave much, only a little insurance, and the printing shop is a partnership, you know, Hank and Mrs. Delay. And the cigarette case is just a windfall. I told him you wouldn't stand in the way of a widow.
I wouldn't think of it.
I knew you'd do the decent thing, Mr. Spade. Give me that.
Please, Mr. Spade, my bruises. Besides, I haven't got it.
You haven't got it?
No, now look, Mr. Spade.
Blanche.
Okay, now, Blanche, try and think. Did you ever hear your husband mention Van Pelt?
No. No, they never even met. Mr. Van Pelt said so.
How'd Van Pelt find out about the cigarette case?
He said you showed it to him.
How well do you know your husband's partner, Mr. Soleil?
Oh, we're total strangers now. I told my husband everything. He forgave me.
Uh-huh. And what did Mr. Soleil tell you?
Nothing much, nothing. He's led a very dull life. Almost as soon as he got out of reform school, he took a forgery rap.
Oh, very good.
That's where he became a master fitter. And stir, as they say.
Oh, yes, they do.
Well, they're not much help.
Au contraire, Blanche. Au contraire. I escorted her outside and pushed her into a taxi. Then I walked back to Kirk Street. As I rounded the corner, I could see light in the window of Pace's printery. The chimes were hammering out 5:15 when I entered Hank Page's shop. In the back, a guy was sitting at a desk in his shirt sleeves checking off figures in a ledger. I introduced myself, and he told me his name was Ben Soleil. We shook hands, and then he waved me to a chair across the desk.
This is awful, Spade. What with one thing and another, we're heels over head in work, and got to pull with these books, and I don't know a thing about it. And pardon me. Yes. Oh, all right. Oh, well, things are a little confused here just now. Could you tell me a little more about it? Huh? Oh, yes, I understand the problem. Well, we're handling it at this end, but we'll be very busy for a while. Now, there's definitely no point in you dropping by tonight. You think the news of the boss's death would make some difference to those customers, but no. You take that fellow that just...
Yeah, I know you're very busy, Mr. Soleil. I don't want to take up too much of your time, so...
Say, what makes you think that car deliberately ran down the boy?
Did I say so?
Well, you're an insurance dick, aren't you?
You got me tagged. Anybody have anything against him, as far as you know?
Well, he fired 2 printers last week.
Why?
Well, they couldn't spell in English.
You, see Mr. Page this afternoon?
Yeah, he came in for about 10 minutes. Said he'd be back on the job tomorrow morning. He was killed just after he left.
How'd he look?
Same as usual.
You wouldn't say he'd been in a fight.
Oh, good Lord, no. He was a sick man.
He had a piece of foreign in his hand when he was hit. Know anything about that?
Well, sure, he got it here. One of our customers, a man named Van Pelt, paid for some work with it. Boss wanted it for a souvenir, so he took it with him.
Does Van Pelt know about Page's heart?
Oh, that's a stupid question to ask.
You didn't know Page was killed with Van Pelt's car.
That's a long shot, sir.
Thanks. There's another one. You're lying straight down the line.
Huh?
You
didn't
see Page today. If you had, you'd have mentioned that he had a black eye. He didn't take that Dutch money for a souvenir. If he had, you'd have mentioned the cigarette case.
You've said enough.
What are you doing? Shutting down for the night?
You'll find out.
Put your hands outside of the desk. I slipped the muzzle of my gun. I'd been holding in my lap for 3 minutes, far enough over the edge of the desk for Ben Soleil to see it. He did what I told him to. The press room door was directly behind him, and I knew his body would screen my gun from the view of anybody that might come through it in response to the signal he buzzed. I didn't have long to wait. 3 men, black with ink, came to the door and threw it into the little office. They strolled in, careless and casual.
What's up, Ben?
You got ice in your head?
What's this?
Stop right there. Stop, because they'd all been mounted on the same pair of legs, but I didn't like my position at all. If these men decided to jump me, I could down just one of them before the other three were on me. I knew it, and they knew it. Then I felt some fresh air on the back of my neck as the street door opened behind me.
Oh! Mr. Chalet, what is it? Is it a holdup?
It's me, Blanche Spade. Get out of here, quick. Find a cop and bring him back here. Will you do that?
Sure I will. You can count on me.
Clay's mouth opened in a broad grin. I didn't need any more warning than that. I threw myself sideways, but I wasn't quick enough. The blow I got from behind with Blanche's lady's handbag type persuader didn't hit me full on, but I got enough of it to fold up my legs as if the knees were hinged with paper, and I slammed into a heap on the floor. Something dark crashed towards me. I caught it with both hands. I had a foot kicking at my face. I wrung it the way a salmon wrings out a mop. I was dimly aware that my feet were under me again. Some squirming thing was on my back, and a hot, damp object like a hand was across my face. I put my teeth into it, and my head back as far as it would go. Maybe it smashed into the face it was meant for. I don't know. Anyway, the squirming thing was no longer on my back, and suddenly I could see again. I saw a brass cuspidor 6 inches or so in front of my eyes. That's how I knew I was down on the floor again. I grabbed the cuspidor and tugged at it. I staggered to my feet with it and used it to club a clear space in front of me. I swung it high and let go. When I was back on the floor again with 600 or 800 pounds of flesh hammering my face into the boards. But you can't throw a brass cuspidor through a plate glass window into a rush hour crowd in downtown San Francisco without attracting attention. The hour of rescue was at hand. And it was exactly 5 p.m.
All right, boys, let's go to work.
And that, Clancy, is the most of the crop. You guessed it. It was the counterfeiting caper with variations. The returns are not all in yet, but I think when the feds pick up Van Pelt, they'll find he was telling the truth when he said he was working in the Dutch government printing office in Amsterdam at the time of the Nazi occupation. He probably bought his way out of the country with the same kind of money he and Soleil were printing here, genuine Dutch florins printed from the original plate. Being a skilled metal worker, he designed a gold cigarette case into which those plates would fit with uncanny accuracy. The crowning touch was the way in which he concealed them from view. He filled the case with an odious brand of Dutch cigarette, which only fools or criminals could possibly smoke. It was the safest hiding place in the world. So clever was it, now get this, Clancy, my boy, that even I, Sam Spade detective, never suspected the presence of base metal until it stopped that slug Van Pelt threw at me in the alley. Idiot. End of the report.
Oh, Sam, to think you went through all that just to keep your promise to me.
Yes, Effie, but what hurts even more than these wounds is the thought that you were down at my word.
Oh, I didn't say that, Sam. I only inferred that you had no sense of time.
Yeah? Well, I guess you've changed your mind about that, eh?
No, I haven't, Sam.
May I ask why?
Well, I'd rather not discuss it during working hours, Sam, but as soon as I've typed up this report, I'll tell you exactly what I mean. You want me to mail it, or shall I just hand it to him on the way to the streetcar?
Save the stamp app. What else?
Oh, all right, then. You won't be needing me anymore.
Sit down.
It's nearly 5:30, Sam. And I told the photographer not to come.
That's a fine thing. After all I've been through, you still say I have no sense of time, and you told the photographer not to come. Why?
Because I knew you wouldn't be back in time, and if you were, you'd look so terrible the picture wouldn't be any good anyway.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, Sam. That's why I must have been so cranky. I must have had a premonition. I don't know what's the matter with me. I'm so ill-tempered. I think I'm turning into an old maid or something.
Oh, calm down.
I must be.
Oh, by the way, honey, remind me to write to Feige in Washington and ask them to send me that cigarette case for a souvenir if they take it off Van Pelt. After all, you know, it saved my life.
Your life?
Mm-hmm.
And here I've been nagging and saying all these terrible things. Oh, Sam, I don't know
Come
what's the matter
here.
with me. Oh, Sam, no, your bandages, your wound. Oh,
Think I'll live.
good night, Sam.
Good night, sweetheart.
Welcome back. Well, this is a fun episode. It's It can be really interesting when a series tries to mix things up with a little bit of a gimmick. And in this case, it's the idea that the entire story happened in the course of an hour. Though it does seem people were moving around town mighty quickly. If you are in San Francisco, try to follow Sam's footsteps and let us know if all of this really could have happened in an hour. Because I'm just thinking some of the travel time. But since I'm not in San Francisco, I can't say. But a good mystery, lots of good action. Again, I would love to have a higher quality encode of this from something that hadn't been as passed around as much as I think this recording had been before being digitized. But I enjoyed it, and I hope you did as well. Well, now we're going to bring you a little bit of an extra, particularly since this week's episode is short. There are quite a few Sam Spade comedy skits, as I referenced a couple 3 weeks ago. And we're going to try to include the shorter ones on those episodes that are a little bit short. This one we're going to play actually features Howard Duff. This was from Philco Radio Time, which was Bing Crosby's radio program. Perhaps the best one he did. And in this clip, the guests include Clifton Webb, who played a lot of very particular and proper roles. He would go on to star as Mr. Belvedere in a couple of movies. And of course, the legendary singer Burl Ives, though this clip does not feature any of his singing. Rather, him kind of taking part in this comedy sketch. So here again is Philco Radio Time. Let's go ahead and take a listen to their little parody of a private investigator program.
Presenting Clifton Webb, Private Face. The eyes, ears, and nose of crime.
Yes, I'm Clifton Webb, Private Face. In the Tenderloin district of San Francisco, the police were baffled by a series of 17 grisly murders. But the mystery of San Francisco's killer didn't bother me for a moment. Fortunately, my offices are in Denver, Colorado. There, high in the Rocky Mountains, I maintain headquarters with my assistant, a dullard named Crosby. One crisp autumn morning, as I sat there high in the Rockies, Crosby spoke to me.
Chief, let's move higher up in the Rockies, huh? My sinus is killing me.
Crosby, there are times when I question your value to me. Remember, I deal in murder.
Yeah, well, start dealing.
Just then, the door burst open, and a very large guitar entered the office, dragging a man behind it.
Are you Webb, the Private Face?
I am, and I'll thank you not to talk so close into it. I detest the odor of catfish.
I'm in trouble. Somebody's out to kill me.
Immediately, my assistant and I donned our mountain clothing, which I had purchased from an army surplus store, went out and mounted our pack mules, which I had purchased from an army surplus store, and got them started up the trail by giving them a few whacks, which I had also purchased from an army surplus store. We rode our mules for several hours, and when the going got too rough for them, we dismounted and rode Mr. Ives. 5 days later, Ives confessed to us that he was lost.
Mr. Webb, I'm lost.
For days, we wandered in the mountain forests, with nothing to eat but roast pheasant, truffles, lobster thermidor, veal scallopini, crepe Suzette, and Brussels sprouts, all of which I naturally had purchased from an army surplus store. Toward evening of the second day, Ives said,
I'm hungry. Boy, what I wouldn't give for a mess of catfish.
My fine, fat fellow, will you kindly descend...
Oh, he got me.
Look, Chief, somebody shot Ives right out from under us.
Now we are lost.
Okay, you men, break it up. That'll do. Start scattering.
Just a minute. Who are you?
My card, sweetheart.
Hey, look at this card, Clifton. It's the Sam of Spade.
That's right, sweetheart. Sam Spade, license number 137596. I was sitting in my convertible outside listening to this broadcast on my two-way wrist radio, and I decided I'd heard enough. Both ways.
Mr. Spade, I am in the midst of solving a crime. Scram.
Ixnay, Clifton. This is the Sam Spade.
I don't care if he's the steam shovel.
Quiet, you well-dressed toothbrush. One more peep out of you. One more peep out of you, and I'll cut off your supply of wild root cream oil.
Oh, there, Seamus. Let's not go overboard. This man's my guest here.
And that goes for you, too, frog voice.
Oh, me. He's going to cut me off from wildwood cream oil yet.
Now, who takes the rap for this rot? Is it you, ladle ears, or you?
I refuse to answer until I've talked with my astrologer.
Emma's on the stall here. I'm getting an answer from one of you, and I'm getting it now. Which one of you is going to sing?
Okay, Spade. I know when I'm trumped. I'll sing.
Oh, you're smarter than I figured, Cross. Let's have it.
Well, this is Philco Week, Spade, and if I sing, it's going to be a commercial.
Welcome back. Well, that was a bit of a random character appearance for Sam Spade. But the applause, I think, is an indication of just the degree to which Sam Spade was a cultural phenomena in the years right after World War II. Well, listener comments and feedback now, and we start with a note that Francis sent along in addition to the donation. And the question is it time for bold venture? Well, that's a good question. My answer, for years and years and years has been that bold venture is not a detective program, which is still true. However, we could potentially feature it in a podcast because I am weighing a bold venture of my own a couple years down the line with a series Old Time Radio Adventure Theater. Again, this is probably a couple years down the line at this point, and I will talk about it in more detail, probably way more detail than most people would like to hear, when we get to our listener support / appreciation week coming up towards the end of the month. So stay tuned on that. Over on YouTube, we have a couple of comments on the Candy Tooth Caper. Saysoff writes, Adam, it's also worth noting at this time Joseph Kearns was the announcer for Suspense. This is one of quite a few Suspense episodes in which he does double duty as both announcers and one of the actors. Well, thanks so much, and it's definitely worth saying that Joseph Kearns, who I think if I encountered Joseph Kearns' work at all, it was as the first Mr. Wilson on Dennis the Menace. But he was so integral to the golden age of radio. He rarely had like the big starring part, but he provided so much character and announced so many programs. He was in my top 10 back when I did a list of radio's most essential people. I think probably top 5. And definitely such an important figure in nearly any sort of radio program, whether it was comedy, drama, mystery. He really left such a huge impact and legacy in the world of radio. And then Dr. Frankenstein's Creations comments, wow, a great episode. And of all the Sam Spade shows I've heard, that's the harshest I've ever heard Effie get. Kitten indeed. C-A-T kitten. Thanks so much. I do think that, at least from what I've heard, that the earlier takes on Effie, she was a little bit more serious and a little bit more willing to push back on Sam. I think in later years, maybe they played up the comedy a bit more and kind of the, really zany side of her characterization. But I definitely think there have been some strong performances and Effie calling Sam out a bit more than we might hear later on so far. And then we also have an email I received from Sean. And Sean writes in, "Hi, Adam. I love the podcast. In a recent episode, you talked about how Sam Spade was parodied many times. I'm not sure if you know of this one. In the early 90s, 91, 92, there was a cartoon I used to watch called Garfield and Friends. I recently found it online and started enjoying it with my kids. There's an episode where Garfield plays Detective Sam Spade, as in spay and neuter your pets. Thanks, Bob Barker. My kids were confused as to why I was laughing so hard. Many jokes went over their heads, but I enjoyed it so much more now because I know the history and premise of the hard-boiled detective. Thanks for the podcast. Came for Johnny Dollar, but now stay for them all." Well, thanks so much, Sean. I was really into Garfield when I was a kid. I think I might be maybe a year older or something like that than Sean. I started watching Garfield and Friends in 1988 when it first started airing. And for a couple years, maybe 3, was really into the series. But then some things just happened in terms of traveling, not being able to watch television for a while. And so I didn't watch it as much in the later years. It was on till 1994. I did some research, and the episode that Sean is referencing wasn't actually part of the cartoon series. Because back in the 80s and 90s, there were Garfield TV specials. And probably the most well-known is the Garfield Christmas and the Garfield Thanksgiving. And to be honest, I hadn't seen any of the other specials other than those two. Except for Garfield Goes Hollywood, which I think I saw at least twice as a kid, and I honestly don't know why. Not that it was bad, but maybe my dad randomly recorded it on VHS off television. I don't remember. But at any rate, this one I hadn't seen, and it was really good. It was such a delight to watch. Really does a great job capturing the genre and having a good, fun mystery, as well as being able to have some nice comedy. The essential plot is that Garfield goes into a closet and dreams he's a hard-boiled San Francisco private eye named Sam Spade. And he's got to solve a murder. So if you were wondering what your cat does all day, there you go. Now, because it is a special rather than an episode of the cartoon, you can have those sort of jokes that the kids don't quite get. Because when TV networks made primetime specials of cartoon characters, they were meant to be for the whole family, while the cartoons were targeted more towards kids. And it makes for a really nice special. Now, if you do have Amazon Prime, and I'm not doing an ad for Amazon, but this is where you can watch it. On Amazon Prime, you just search for Garfield specials, and it's Babes and Bullets. And I will write a full review over on the website. And I really appreciate Sean mentioning it, because it was something that I missed from my childhood that was actually really good and held up. And I think it's good for all ages, really. A lot of fun. All right, well, now let's go ahead and thank our Patreon supporter of the day. Thank you to Ron, Patreon supporter since May of 2020, currently supporting us at the Detective Sergeant level of $7.14 or more per month. Again, thanks so much for your support, Ron. And that will do it for today. If you are enjoying this podcast, be sure to rate and review it wherever you download your podcast from. Next Monday, we'll be back with another episode of Sam Spade. And next Tuesday, we'll be bringing you a previously uncirculated episode of Defense Attorney. But coming up tomorrow, listen for a previously uncirculated episode of Sherlock Holmes, where...
Along with me.
Oh, thank heavens. Come in, come in.
Oh, this is my old friend, Lionel Greatlake.
Oh, delighted. Honored, and I may say grateful and relieved. This is the 6th theft inside of a month, Mr. Holmes. It's got the place in an uproar. Nurses having hysterics, patients insist on going home.
I take it you're alluding to the cadavers which have been stolen recently.
Yes, Mr. Holmes, you know how jealous a hospital is of its reputation. At least little bit of scandal.
Oh, cheer up, Leo. Maybe it's just a prank of one of the lads. You know what medical students are.
No, that's what I thought when we found the first body missing 4 weeks ago. But now that 5 have been stolen, oh no, that's carrying a joke too far. They tried to get away with another this evening.
Really?
I just happened to drop into the dissecting room in time to stop it. The minute I opened the door, I knew someone was in there, but he slipped out the side way before I could light the gas. But come and see for yourself. Follow me. The laboratories are in this wing.
Oh, mausoleum. Looks familiar, Leo. Remember when we used to sneak a forbidden smoke behind that broom closet?
I wish to heaven life were as simple nowadays. Deuced faces like a beehive, buzzing with suspicion. Wonder we've been able to keep it out of the paper. Here we are. 1 second till I unlock the door. Sit. Now, just let me turn up the gas. Well, there we are.
Quite impressive. I see you have all the latest improvements. Oh, that gentleman in the corner. I take it he was the object of tonight's attempted abduction.
Yes, Mr. Holmes, that's the corpse. Splendid specimen, too.
Face a bit the worse for wear. Otherwise, a splendid body.
Yes, we're most anxious not to lose him.
He must be fairly recent. I see there have been no injections of the preserving fluid.
Quite right, Mr. Holmes. He died only this afternoon.
And the other stolen bodies, they have been duly preserved, I suppose.
Well, no, now that you mention it, they were all stolen before being treated.
Curious, eh, Watson?
Well, I don't know. I suppose if you're going to be a body snatcher, you might as well take fresh ones.
I hope you'll be with us then. In the meantime, do send your comments to box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives and check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/greatdetectives. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off.